Many people believe stumbling and losing steadiness is just a natural part of getting older. But the truth is different. Small oversights are stealing safety every single day, and you need to know what they are. Mental health is the engine of independence after 60. When the mind believes the body can do it, confidence takes the wheel. Fear does the opposite. It shrinks choices, steals little joys, and teaches you to avoid things that once seemed simple. Balance is never just about muscles. It starts with how the brain interprets safety, risk, and self-confidence. Nicholas, at 78, learned this sooner than he would have liked. This is where the big question comes in: why do so many older adults lose their balance? The answer lies in simple mistakes, repeated day after day, that seem harmless but slowly take away leg strength and mental confidence. Ignoring these signs opens the door to falls, fear, and loss of independence. Understanding these mistakes is the first step toward regaining safety and living fully. After 60, living with joy and good humor depends entirely on you. This channel was created exactly for that purpose, to bring intense stories, full of emotion and meaning, that will touch your heart and strengthen your mind. Here, every story is a reminder that self-esteem and love are the real keys to enjoying life with hope and fulfillment. Subscribe now and come walk with us on this new journey. Nicholas woke up early, checked his phone, and saw 2 messages. He got up to get some water. On the way, he slipped slightly on a rug. His chest tightened, his mind flooded with images of accidents. No fall actually happened, but his brain stored the scare as proof. From then on, even simple movements felt like decisions requiring extra courage. A few days later, at the pharmacy, he ran into Mr. Reed, a neighbor and former sailor who had given up bowling after a dizzy spell. Reed said he was tired of taking risks. It sounded practical, but Nicholas heard the loneliness disguised as caution, the same caution that was chasing him too. His world started shrinking. He skipped visits, canceled music class, ordered groceries for delivery instead of crossing the street to the bakery. He told himself he was just being careful, but anxiety had taken the driver's seat. And anxiety charges interest. When you avoid things, your brain learns avoidance brings relief, and your daily circle of action keeps getting smaller. With less action, the body loses practice. And you? Have you handed decisions over to anxiety? Stay with the video. I'm going to show you how to turn this around and reclaim your independence. One afternoon, his grandson called to show him a school project. Nicholas praised him and promised to see him on Saturday. After the call, he looked down the hallway and remembered when he'd taught the boy to ride a bike. Now, just the thought of tripping in front of him hurt his pride. Shame is sneaky. It disguises itself as common sense while quietly building walls inside your own home. He realized he was pulling away from people, not from danger. Looking for a counterweight to his thoughts, he grabbed a small notebook and wrote on the cover, "Daily Victories." The goal was to show his brain that progress exists, even when it's modest. He jotted down, stood up from the chair steadily, called my brother, walked to the corner store. Each line worked like a mental antidote. Value came from meaning, not size. Small act, big signal. As the pages filled up, he noticed a pattern. Insecurity popped up in specific spots around the house and during certain tasks. This wasn't bad luck or an unavoidable sentence of aging. These were triggers training his body to doubt itself. That realization changed his inner tone. Instead of calling himself weak, Nicholas started telling himself, "My head feels lighter." The first step toward steadier balance is mental, choosing that fear won't be the editor of his story. That night, he underlined 3 words on the notebook's first page: clarity, courage, repetition. Clarity to notice where his mind was painting threats bigger than they really were. Courage to face the next small task. Repetition to teach his brain a new message: safety grows with practice. He left the notebook where he could see it, ready to mark the next victory as soon as it showed up. Nicholas had already understood that his mind was a key part of his instability, but every day brought new proof that his body needed attention too. He remembered the days when he used to climb stairs 2 at a time and walk across town without getting tired. Now, when he stood up from his armchair, his legs felt heavy, as if strength had been slowly drained away. The technical name he would learn later, sarcopenia, the stealthy loss of muscle that turns firm strength into disguised fragility. He realized the first silent defeat came precisely from what should have been supporting him, his thighs and calves. Over the years, he had chosen convenience, avoiding effort, taking elevators, resting whenever possible, outsourcing movements that once came naturally. The cost of that choice arrived in the form of hesitation and fear of losing balance. It wasn't inevitable fate, it was accumulated consequence. A defining moment happened when his daughter invited him for a walk in the park. The plan was simple: stroll slowly and talk. But when he saw a small hill ahead, Nicholas stopped. His body trembled inside, and he stepped back. His daughter, surprised, took his arm and tried to encourage him, but embarrassment had already settled in. The man who always taught courage now found himself hostage to insecurity over ordinary terrain. That moment stuck with him as a warning. He wasn't just losing muscle, he was losing the freedom to share precious moments. When the body's strength weakens, the mind feels the weight too, and the real risk is losing moments that never come back. Taking care of yourself isn't vanity, it's preserving the freedom to live with dignity and joy. A few days later, while putting on his shoes, he noticed a hidden mistake. The leather was worn out, the soles smooth, the stability his feet needed had vanished. Every step was a risk disguised as routine. Changing his shoes seemed like an irrelevant detail, but Nicholas understood that, combined with a weakened body, that small thing could lead to a fall capable of changing his life. He remembered neighbors who lost their independence from a simple slip at home. The thought sent chills down his spine. The next revelation came during a routine medical checkup. Vision and hearing tests revealed losses he hadn't even noticed. The doctor explained that eyes and ears act like radars, sending vital information to the brain. When they fail, the body loses spatial awareness, tripping on steps, misjudging distances. Nicholas left the clinic with a new understanding. Part of his insecurity wasn't in his legs, but in what he'd stopped seeing and hearing clearly. Putting these discoveries together, Nicholas began to see his story like a puzzle. Each piece represented a small, overlooked mistake, but together, they formed a dangerous picture. What once seemed like just natural aging now revealed itself as the result of choices and neglect. It was as if life had handed him a map of traps he'd unknowingly helped design. He felt a mix of frustration and hope. Frustration for having missed such clear signs. Hope because, now that he'd identified the mistakes, there was still time to fix them. This was the start of a new journey, where every simple decision, an exercise, a new pair of shoes, a visit to the eye doctor, could restore the steadiness he thought he'd lost forever. Nicholas began to understand that recognizing those mistakes was only the first step. Acknowledging the problem wasn't enough, he needed to act. The Daily Victories notebook was there to prove that small changes could add up to big results. But something still bothered him. His body wasn't prepared to react when the unexpected happened. Balance, more than strength, required training, and he realized he'd done nothing to build it. A memory came back to him. Years ago, during a trip, he'd watched a group of older adults practicing Tai Chi in the park. Slow, controlled movements, almost like a silent dance. Back then, he'd watched out of curiosity, never imagining those gestures would one day become the answer he was searching for. Now, with insecurity settled in, he remembered that scene as if it were a delayed invitation. That's how he decided to add new rituals to his days. At first, he used a chair for support while practicing standing on one leg for a few seconds. Then, he started stretching before bed, noticing his muscles responded with less stiffness. At first, his body resisted, but soon, his mind began celebrating every bit of progress. It was different from just walking. It was training that sent a message back to his brain: you're still in charge. As he committed to these exercises, Nicholas noticed another detail often overlooked: his own home had quietly become risky territory. Loose rugs, cords crossing walkways, dim lighting in the hallway, everything that once seemed normal now felt like a threat. He realized that home, the place where he should feel safest, could also be the stage for the most serious falls. It was a shock. Have you ever stopped to think whether your own home is truly safe, or hiding silent traps? The first change was symbolic. He rolled up the living room rug and put it away in the closet. It felt strange to look at the empty space, but at the same time, he knew he'd taken a decisive step. Next, he installed small nightlights and bought grab bars for the bathroom. The investment was small, but the peace of mind it brought was enormous. With every adjustment, Nicholas felt he wasn't just organizing his surroundings, he was rebuilding his confidence. These steps awakened in him a new feeling, the sense that he could turn fragility into opportunity. What had seemed like a punishment of age was, in fact, a call to take better care of himself. With every stretch, every home tweak, he felt his story was being rewritten. He was no longer just a spectator of his own aging, he was the main character in a turnaround that surprised him more each day. The balance he was seeking was no longer just physical, it was emotional too. Realizing he could respond, that there was still so much he could do, Nicholas began to smile again in the face of challenges. That mix of discipline and daily small victories lit a flame inside him he thought had gone out. Fear, once in charge, was now losing ground to a new companion: confidence. The balance he was seeking wasn't just physical, it was mental too. From the start, Nicholas had understood that the mind sets the body's pace. Every simple victory, removing a rug, standing on one leg for a few seconds, stretching before bed, strengthened not just muscles, but thoughts. The anxiety that once built invisible walls began to dissolve with each achievement recorded in his notebook. His mental health, which had seemed weakened by fear, now gained new strength through concrete actions. Nicholas realized that caring for his body was also caring for his mind, and that every adjustment, no matter how small, was a powerful reminder that freedom and the joy of living depend on the harmony between physical strength and emotional clarity. After 60, true strength lies in choosing joy and good humor. This channel was created to inspire you with powerful stories that spark courage and renew your mind. If this content touched you, don't keep it to yourself, subscribe and share it. And get ready for the next videos, because each one might light a new flame of hope and love inside you.